Marvel Studios shared a new trailer for the Fantastic Four First Steps with CinemaCon attendees, which reportedly electrified audiences and confirmed a fairly significant plot point regarding Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm, as well as giving a first look at Julia Garner's Shala Silver Surfer. Marvel's other fast approaching summer tentpole, Thunderbolts, also had time to shine as Florence Pugh shared 5 minutes of footage with the audience, which teased the various miscreants' initial allegiances. Independent of CinemaCon, but still timely, Lucasfilm released the trailer for Star Wars Tales of the Underworld, an animated anthology series that follows in the footsteps of previous Tales series, this time with a focus on bounty hunters Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane. And finally, Disney's offerings also included CinemaCon's exclusive trailers for Avatar, Fire and Ash, Tron Ares, and Zootopia 2.
You know, this is the CinemaCon show, and I think it's important to mention, what CinemaCon is, because I just kind of have a gripe with CinemaCon and the way that it's done. The purpose of CinemaCon, if you don't know, is it is a convention in which people from studios essentially present to theater owners to try to get them excited for the upcoming year in movies. So it's like, hey, you own a theater, here's what we're sending you this year. Get excited about it. Don't be scared that less people are coming to the movie theaters. We're going to give you these movies and really fill up the seats with them. And that's the whole point of it. It's always been the point of it. But it's kind of gotten to this point where it is starting to straddle a line, and I think it needs to decide what it wants to be, because it has gotten to this point where now it's a lot of, we showed a trailer and here's a description of everything that was in that trailer because it's not available to the public yet.
Right.
Well, the problem with that is that you just inevitably see information from the trailers that I would have liked to seen in the trailer. And so Wicked, for example, we'll talk about Wicked for Good here in a minute. There was a trailer shown of Wicked for Good, and there was a spoiler in the description. And of course I saw it, and I was like, I kind of would have liked to have seen that just in the trailer. Same with Fantastic Four. It's like, I kind of would have liked to have been surprised by the emergence of the Silver Surfer in that trailer. It's kind of lame that I had to hear that it was out there, and that next time I see a trailer, there it is again. So it's strange because the stuff isn't released. At Comic-Con, the stuff's released, right? Because Comic-Con is a fan event. You go to it, you see the trailer live, and then within 30 seconds, that trailer is put out to the rest of the world. And that's the whole thing. It's a fan event. That's what it's supposed to be. It's about hyping up fans. And I think CinemaCon has to choose a lane. I think it has to decide, like, do we want to be a fan event like Comic-Con? Like, do we want to do the thing where we're putting the trailers out for the studio heads and then we're dropping them online and it's all about hype and that's the whole purpose? Or do we want to make this an embargoed event for journalists and studio owners and theater heads of theaters and all this type of stuff, make it an event that's closed doors, that there's an embargo, like journalists can't talk about what they've seen until a certain date, and then that's what it's for, because I hate this middle ground a little bit of like, we showed a trailer for Fantastic Four and it showed a bunch of new footage and everybody was screaming because it was so crazy and this was in it by him, so it's this isn't a knock on Disney specifically, because again, it's all the studios did this, but I just find that frustrating a little bit about CinemaCon. It's like, what are you? Or like, tell me what you are, and then be that. It's like, stop trying to be two things. But overall, I mean, Star Wars, hey, they've had some great success with animation, as we've seen up to this point. It's where they've had a lot of their success on Disney Plus with Star Wars. And so I think it is exciting to get another animated property here, especially an anthology series. These are characters that were made popular through animation, and we've seen spatterings of them in live action, but these are primarily animated characters where people have grown with these characters through the Clone Wars and primarily. And, I think it's a good move. It makes sense. You're playing to your audience, like your Bad Batch / Clone Wars / Rebels audiences. They're going to eat that stuff up. So totally makes sense for what Star Wars is going for.
I really love the Star Wars Tales series. I mentioned maybe just last week that one of the things I love about Star Wars is that you get all of these small stories within the universe, even though we already know the end result of everything. But because the world of Star Wars is so rich and filled with such interesting characters, I always enjoy the little side quests. And Asajj, Ventress, and Cad Bane are really popular characters. And yes, we saw Cad in the was it the Book of Boba Fett series?
Correct.
I think yes, live action, which
Yeah.
is great, voiced by that actor Corey. I can't ever remember the last name. So I love those. I think that Tales of the Sith was met with like lukewarm reviews or reception from fans, but I really like it. I like those little short stories. They can keep making them. They could make them forever. And the Underworld thing was originally a concept George Lucas had, I think, for a live action series, and there was like footage shot and stuff. And so this is kind of a little homage to that, I think. The Marvel stuff is like what it is. We're not going to talk about the the spoiler, in my opinion, that they released. And Thunderbolts, they're pushing hard. You know, I think what's going to be hard is the almighty dollar is going to be really precious to people coming up pretty soon, and movies and things like that that are luxuries will be the first thing to go. So I do think probably theaters and studios are feeling the pressure to put things out there, really push, really market, really show why you should take your time and take your resources and come see these films.
You both make good points. Jay, I appreciated some of your points about CinemaCon as a whole because it made me think like, was I aware that CinemaCon was even a thing like 5 years ago? I don't think so. So it's only been like in the last 3 or 4 years that I think they've been trying to, like you said, kind of match step with some of these big fan events. And they're not alone. Like DC has its fandom, D23. Again, I don't know how long D23 has been going on, but I feel like I only started hearing about it, around 2017 or what have you. So yeah, I kind of agree. If you're going to basically know that these descriptions are going to be out there, just go ahead and show everybody. Like, what's the point of not showing it at this point? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I did read the descriptions, and I didn't feel terribly spoiled by anything. I think they were all things that they were assumptions that we were all operating under anyway. Specifically with the Thunderbolts, again, we're like at the point where I really don't want to know anything else about the movie. So if I could, rewind the clock and not read that description, maybe I would, but I already kind of knew what the scenario going in was going to be there. So yeah, Star Wars, the Tales series kind of holds a special place in my heart because I am a big fan of the expanded universe, the EU. So I grew up reading the books of Kevin J. Anderson, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Tales from Jabba's Palace. So I still hope that, maybe some of those stories will be adapted in some fashion. But what I really like about what Disney has been able to do with their animated anthology series is that they take a side character that people have a lot of love for, but have not really been fleshed out in like the mainstream things that everybody's watching. So with that in mind, I've said it on Animation Deliberation, but I'll say it here again. I hope if the Tales series continues that we will eventually get Quinlan Vos in the proceedings because he is one of my favorite expanded universe characters. And they've kind of dropped some hints here and there that he may exist within the Disney continuity. So
He does.
oh, cool.
He's in the Clone Wars.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Right on. Right on. As
He's
far as
there.
Avatar, Fire and Ash goes, I kind of feel like James Cameron heard that there was news about the Avatar or the Last Airbender from Nickelodeon. He's like, okay, anytime I have to make sure people associate Avatar with me, not that one.
Ugh.